Hello and welcome to the Touchline. My name is Oarabile Diphoko and we are back in this new year, in the year 2021. As you can see, surroundings have changed, but I do have the same personnel today with me to discuss the EPL and everything that has to do with your international news. I'm here with Vince.
Hello, Abby.
How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm excited just to see you and be here with you right now.
You're not the only one. Take a seat.
Football has been unimaginable in the past couple of weeks, past couple of months, really. But today, we're going to start off with talking about the Champions League that happened midweek. So we focus on the Barcelona and PSG game. A lot of us were looking forward to it. We all know what happened the last time out they played each other. This time around, we do have VAR, so there are no offsides that will be sending anybody through to the next round. How did you find that game?
Personally, I love that game. I loved it because I am all for the Barcelona demise. We all know we have no idea what's going to happen with Barcelona at the end of the season, but it just felt so good to see a PSG team with the personnel that can get them through to the end actually go about an imperious performance.
That is true.
I know PSG have been buckling out of the Champions League in stages where we thought they should have gone a little bit further, but it was just so nice to have a good performance, a good team performance, and obviously the star of the show, Kylian Mbappe, come on.
I think he had to step up. I mean, this is now a PSG side without the likes of Neymar, who's yet again injured in the month of February. We all know that. And then also Di Maria is also out, so he didn't have him. But as soon as also Draxler came in, he also sort of, started shifting the focus of the game in a sense.
Which is odd because you didn't really see Draxler being that. Draxler was out of the PSG plans. He was out of the PSG plans for quite some time. And we've been linked. I mean, I don't want to say we. I'm going to say clubs have been linked with him over the past couple of transfer seasons. And so to see him come into a team and still be able to go and put in that second shift for PSG in the round of 16 against Barcelona at Camp Nou, that was a fantastic performance.
But now looking at the second leg, do you see Barcelona doing anything differently? Do you think they might give us a, hold on to our seats kind of comeback?
Barcelona, I don't think are a team to be able to come back from that kind of deficit. This is no Liverpool of a year or two ago. I don't foresee them be able to go and overturn the deficit that Mauricio Pochettino and boys were able to go and put in. Also, I just don't see a new manager coming in. Obviously, he's reinforced their beliefs and how far. Bear in mind also, Pochettino took Spurs to the Champions League final. So this is a guy who's coming in with the experience to be able to go and take a side to the final. So the PSG guys in that camp, bar Neymar, probably the only guys Neymar's the only guy who's actually touched a Champions League final. And now you're reinforcing that belief in those guys. I just don't think that Barcelona have enough. Messi's hot when he's hot, when he wants to be. But he's also got to have a supporting cast, and I don't think that supporting cast, even though individually they're great, I just don't think in the current Barcelona system they can overturn that deficit.
All right. Speaking of a team that you mentioned that have the capabilities of turning deficit, they don't need to do that right now because they went away to Leipzig, or should I say Budapest, because of COVID-19 restrictions, and got a 2-0 win. This is Liverpool against Leipzig. I would like to believe that Leipzig sort of self-tripped themselves because both the goals came from mistakes.
Both of them were mistakes, and if you actually watched the game, which I'm sure you did, Leipzig were on top of that game. They had the fair amount of possession, they had the fair amount of opportunities. So, look, I'm not no Liverpool hater. Maybe I am, but both those goals came from mistakes at the back. Of course, you're not going to go and give an opportunity to Sadio Mane and Mo Salah and think they're going to pass up the opportunity. No ways. But I do feel that there's still more in that fixture. Purely because I just feel that Liverpool have been shaky this season. Look, this is a team that's come off of probably the most impressive two-season run ever, actually. I don't even want to call it English football, but I want to say in world football. So I just don't think they're going to lose that ferocity overnight. But I just think that there's a little more to that fixture than we actually think. Also, Gian Yasmani, he's an amazing manager as well. You fully don't expect him to go and lie down and accept defeat. I fully don't expect Jurgen Klopp to also lay back and do a Mourinho and expect to shade.
Let them come at you.
I do believe that this is a game for ambition. You've got to go for it. And I still think there's more to this fixture than
the 2-0 right now.
100%.
Okay, speaking of more fixtures, this coming week we do have a little bit more to give in Champions League. Chelsea versus Atletico, as well as Man City and Borussia Mochengladbach. How do they say it?
Mochengladbach.
That's the one. I was close.
It's okay.
So
You're dealing with the wordsmith.
Looking at those two teams, starting with the Atletico versus Chelsea game, this is where Chelsea's a little bit of a sore point comes in, because we know that last 60 they always seem to get the tougher opponents and they never seem to go through. What do you think Thomas Tuchel can do differently now to make sure that they do get across that line?
Do you know, if this Chelsea team was playing Atletico when Lampard was still the manager, I would go and say this is a straightforward game set and done against Diego. He knows how to play this type of competition. He knows how to play this type of round. Now it becomes a little bit trickier because you've got Thomas Tuchel now, who has gotten a good run of fixtures with this Chelsea side. He's been able to figure out who he's able to go and put his beliefs in, who he's able to go and put his
that little bit of trust.
That little bit of trust in. And once you've got that, you've got guys now who are behaving like the superstars they are, who are performing like the superstars you expect them to be, bar the Kai Havertz. And but I mean, you got Timo Werner who's coming in now, who's scoring goals now, breaking that.
Finally has a goal.
Finally. So I expect an interesting performance. I can't call it yet, but then again, I would go and say Atletico are at the summit of the Liga for something. They are absolutely running away. Let me not say running away with it, but they're at the top.
I mean, they could be. They're 10 points clear.
There we go. Yeah. But we've seen before, our 10 points actually isn't the be all to end of it all. In leagues.
That's true.
But I think that if you're 10 points ahead of Madrid, if you're 10 points ahead of Barcelona in La Liga at this time of the season, you're doing something right. Yeah. And I fully expect Simeone to be able to go get over the blue hump in a sense.
I look at his team right now and I'm saying go for it. He's been there 7-8 years now, and the least he could do, I do believe that La Liga will be in their hands at the end of the season. But I would really want to believe that he wants to see a Champions League final very time soon. Last
year was his rebuilding phase with that team. I mean, those Atletico guys were in his side for a good decade.
Yeah.
And last year he brought in a couple of new signings.
João Felix. Now we're looking at Suarez as well.
And how hot has Suarez been this season?
Marcos Llorente. So he has a good dynamic 100%. In that team. But then I'm moving on to Manchester City, who always seem to get the less frightening opponents. And I'm going to say frightening in the sense of they've always gotten the ones that we don't expect them to. How do you see them performing now in Champions League? Because this is the one cup that's evaded Pep for so long.
They got the less frightening opponent last year and they still knocked them out. They still made the finals. Yeah. So, look, I think when it comes to this type of time in terms of the Champions League, yes, teams are less frightening, but you still have teams that absolutely play out of their socks. We could have ran back and said a year or two ago Ajax was the less frightening side, but those guys put in an imperious performance. Yeah. So I'm a little tentative with City at times when it comes to Champions League, but I do feel that City are different this season. I think Pep has this obsessive thing with management in terms that he's always trying to reinvent himself.
Yes.
First season, look, we knew he had a struggle. Second season, essentially got it right. You had your overlapping.
He's been getting it right.
He's been getting it right. You had your overlapping fullbacks. Then you had your fullbacks coming in this time. But now you
have Cancelo, who's a right back playing midfield.
Incredible. A guy putting in a left foot curler, Beamer. From the right flank of the box. So I've no idea how that's gonna go. I do feel that City are just too hot right now, in my opinion. I think that essentially Pep's football's always been based around dominance of possession, but also creating a hell of a lot of space. But I just feel like now it's not just dominance of possession, it's efficiency with possession. Gone are the days of 1,000 triangles everywhere. Now essentially, are we getting the ball? How can we create an opportunity?
Yes,
and they're doing this without a KDB. They're doing this without a Sergio Aguero. And now all of a sudden KDB is coming on the 70th minute midweek. He's playing aside from London that I'm not going to speak about right now. And then now he's going to be ready for next week.
Next week.
I honestly feel it's going to be straightforward for City. They get Gladbach out, and I fully expect this tie to be done in the first leg.
The first leg.
Yeah.
Well, you heard Vincent. He said it himself. Chelsea play on Tuesday as well as Manchester City playing on a Wednesday. Now we move over to the Scottish side of life, where people have not been behaving. And when I say people, I mean Bonganis Zungu and his co-conspirators, because where are they going during COVID restrictions? Why are they partying? Why are they going out? Why are you putting your team in danger as well as yourself? we're talking about the boys that broke COVID regulations. What do you think happens in a situation like that? What should Steven Gerrard do?
I personally think you can't be too shocked. You know, this guy who's coming as Gerrard, you know, and Gerrard actually spoke about Bongani Zungu quite a bit before he came to the Rangers. And I was reading his articles this morning, and you know, Gerrard says he feels personally let down, and you know, he's kind of betrayed his trust. But I don't know, it's difficult because you know you're a marquee signing coming in to Rangers at the start of the season, and since you haven't been able to enjoy that. Look, I'm at no point, you know, advocating that, you know, it's right, you know, but I am saying that we've seen this type of behavior from footballers so many times in the past, and we are going to see this type of behavior from footballers in many, many years to come. So it's difficult to go and sit here and chastise Bongani Zungu for probably, you know, at the end of the day.
Can we not though? Why can't we?
I think you can criticize, but then we have to criticize. Why are we criticizing him alone? What about the other four? You know, and he is I understand. You know, he's South African. He's supposed to be the one, you know, holding up our pillar, you know, and our flag, you know, and you'd expect so much more from him. But unfortunately, you also become a creature of your habitat. You know, if he's there, his teammates are encouraging him to just. And I'm all about, you know, refrain from the peer pressure.
But a whole 28-year-old man can't refrain from the peer pressure?
A whole 28-year-old man who is away from his friends, away from his family, who has nobody. You're going to find that solace in teammates. And look, I'm not saying he's a shining example. I'm saying he could have done better. But it's also how hypocritical would that be of us to go and sit there and, you know, kind of speak from outside the club and kind of know what the situation is like over there.
We're not trying to get in, but all I'm saying is that this is it puts a negative target on his back, considering the fact that he's the only one on loan at Rangers. So already we're thinking, your own team didn't really have space for you. And then you move across countries, you go to, you know, Scotland, and then you go do that. So he has less of a chance of getting back into the team than the other four teammates that he broke protocol with. And that's more what I'm worried about with regards to Bongani Zungu and going forward with his career. But like you say, these things happen, and it has happened at Rangers too, where two others have broken COVID-19 protocol about 2 or 3 months ago. Hence, I'm asking, what is Steven Gerrard supposed to do in situations like this where clearly the team is not learning from the teammates?
But then do you essentially isolate a player that you brought in thinking that they're important for your team? Or do you try and teach them a lesson, but also by teaching one person a lesson, what happens to the rest of the team? Exactly, you know, it's a domino effect. If you punish the player, you punish the team. You know, because the results are also gonna, you know, go against you as well. It's difficult, and my issue is also that, you know, they are the ones that were caught. You know, there are so many other footballers
that are probably doing the exact same thing. So, you know, while Steven Gerrard figures that out, we are going to be moving on to Serie A, where the Milan derby is finally taking place. Inter Milan will be looking to knock AC Milan off the top of the table. We're looking at two teams that deserve this cup right now this season. Who do you think needs it a little bit more?
I don't think it's a matter of who needs it a little bit more. I think it's a matter of who is going to get it.
Who's going to get it? Okay, you can go with that too.
Juve have run away with the Italian
9 years
trophies.
In a row. We really don't need that.
100%. And I almost think that, you know, they almost took things for granted because, I mean, you have Cristiano Ronaldo, you know, in probably the cested parts of his career. What are you doing bringing in a guy who's only coached an under-19 Juve side? Who do you think you are bringing Andrea Pirlo in to go and essentially coach the best Champions League player of all time? Who do you think you are? So I just think that they've taken that for granted. Juve are nowhere and will be nowhere in terms of title race this season. They will be nowhere and are nowhere in terms of Champions League this season.
Whoa.
In my personal opinion, okay, and we'll see it next week. But I do feel that Antonio Conte really has the blueprint of that league.
I agree. I think that's part of the reason why I was asking you, because he came so close last season.
100%.
And there were a little bit minor confusion in games and, you know, mistakes that cost them points. But this season, they seem to have a Lukaku who's well-oiled. You know, he has one of the best teammates in Lautaro Martinez. So they're doing really well. But now we're looking at Zlatan's AC Milan with Theo Hernandez and everybody else that seems to be contributing there. It's going to be tough.
I've started to realize that you also can't go and put an age on players. And yes,
no,
I fully expect Zlatan to be able to carry on this form throughout the season. But then I'm also going to look at the hungry young guys
Yes.
at Inter. Last season was their first season, one with Conte, two with the new new signings as well. So I just think that they've been able to. Remember how Liverpool lost that first season to Man City with 1 point? And essentially that next season they came back hungrier. They were young guys. They saw how little they lost it by the previous season.
Yeah.
And they came back and they ran away with it. I'm looking at Inter now and I'm thinking to myself, you guys learned from last season.
Yeah.
And this isn't, it isn't a situation of now, this is the second season with the same manager.
No.
Juve have a different manager season, And to go and be sitting here, at this time with those players, still trying to figure it out. Conte's going to run away with this. So I don't think Pioli has it in himself and the AC Milan squad to be able to go and sustain this current run of form to the end of the season to go and win the Serie A. But I do feel that Conte and his boys,
they do
have it,
All right, there you have it. That is the Milan derby. And now we move on to the final segment of the show. That is the EPL. And I'm going to start off with your team because your team is playing a Manchester City side that seems to be running away with the league. 10 points clear.
Pep's an amazing manager, but he's a liar as well. I
actually want to agree with you on that.
He's
because
an absolute
when the season started, he was downplaying everything. He was a victim to everything. His team wasn't gelling. They were getting all those draws, but he knew what he was doing.
But also in the same breath, if the teams that ended off that last season, let me say, if Liverpool played the way they played in, shall I say, the first 70% of last season, if they continue that form into this year, then it would be a different situation. It would be a different story. So
if they had the same personnel,
there we go.
Yes.
So it's to Liverpool's demise. It's to Tottenham being Spursy and being Tottenham. It's to the Mourinho effect as well that has made City. I'm not even going to mention United, and so I'm so glad that my other two panel members aren't here because
they're listening. They're watching.
They don't deserve this conversation.
They'll get you privately.
We'll talk about our guys outside the top four later, but I just don't think that anyone's going to come close to City this season. I think Tottenham. I sat on this very chair in this very podcast saying that I think Mourinho is going to win the league. I'm going to ask if we can delete that.
Confidently.
Can you maybe delete that?
I'm pretty sure we can, but I don't know about the Touchline fan base.
Exactly.
They're going to remember.
Streets talk as well. But
coming back to the game this weekend, Manchester City and Arsenal, how do you see that panning out? Both of you guys are coming from, I think, fairly good results in previous week. Okay, maybe not necessarily, but you've got your Aubameyang scoring hat tricks now.
I've got my Aubameyang. I'm just glad to have my guy back. If I was walking to this fixture feeling like, one Aubameyang still hadn't scored a goal in how many games? I haven't seen like I said, it hasn't been outstanding enough for, let's say, the last 3 games. It's difficult because you look at how the previous bouts between Arsenal and City have gone. The most recent one, I know we lost, but the opportunities were there. It wasn't like it was a full-on dominance. So I never know what I'm going to get between Arteta and Pep. My heart says there is a draw in this match, or if Aubameyang's really feeling up for it, he could go and snatch one, and then Arsenal go into a compact situation for the last couple of not even last couple of minutes. I fully expect that game to be that way.
The game.
But then I also look at City, and I'm looking at Ilkay Gundogan, I'm looking at sensational Phil Foden. I'm looking at how Raheem Sterling is actually had the captain's armband, did not drop a performance. And I'm just looking at the shakiness of our centre backs at times. I'm looking at the fact that Tierney's only getting his first game in this midweek, and it's just not pointing to Arsenal for a surefire double chance in terms of a draw or a result. I fully expect City. Look, if anyone's going to stop City's unbeaten run or winning streak, I don't think it's going to be anyone else but Arsenal or Liverpool. But I also don't think it's going to be Arsenal. So I've accepted what's going to happen this weekend. I'm only asking that people don't add me and don't talk to me for that day. I'm going to be in Marvin's room.
Maybe you shouldn't be on Twitter that day.
I logged off and I'm deleting the app.
There we are. Speaking of Liverpool, it is the Merseyside derby this weekend. And we all know that Liverpool in the league, because you did say the Champions League, they seem to be okay. But in the league, it's a little bit problematic. What do you think is going to happen this time around? Everton have just previously lost a game. Liverpool have just come off a Champions League win. How do you see that game going?
Everton have just lost the game, but Everton have also just come back from about a 2 or 3 goal deficit in terms of a Mourinho side and gone ahead and done well in that game. You
Yeah.
know, I don't know. I look at King Carlo, and I just don't think that you can ever.
Is he King Carlo now?
Come
hello.
on.
Oh, okay. You look at King Carlo.
He's been the Don. He's
Okay.
been the Don.
All
You know,
right.
I just don't think you can never ever count out an Ancelotti's side. He gets the best out of the person.
Yeah,
You know.
he knows where to dig deep.
Yeah,
Especially get that. I think for me, Everton is that midfield. Once you get that Hammers, Allen, Decore going, the front is okay.
The
They
front
know
is
what
okay,
to do.
and Dominic has shown that he's not.
Hopefully he'll be back. I mean, he is injured.
I would like to believe that he's
So
going to
hopefully he'll be back.
If anything, he should be back for this fixture.
Yes, this is the perfect.
This is the perfect
for
fixture.
him.
Yeah. And these Merseyside derbies, regardless of how good Liverpool have been in a regular season, we've seen some absolute shockers.
Yeah.
We've seen it coming down to a last minute in terms of a ball off the bar, boom, Origi in. During
that was a goalkeeping error. So also he will have to know whether he plays Pickford or Austin with regards to the next fixture.
It's also thing is penalties, and also the guy in between the sticks. That's all about personality. You know, you can have a guy who's amazing at the training ground, but
But when it
essentially
comes game day,
100%. And Pickford
yeah.
is a personality. You know, he's been the guy regimenting that back five for how many seasons at Everton, and also in such a big game, with such a magnanimous, stature. I think you only got one choice, but I just don't think it's going to be a straightforward. I don't think it's a straightforward win for Liverpool. But
if it is, they'll work hard.
100%. I do feel that Liverpool are obviously going through a slump because of maybe call it Jurgen Klopp and his personal issues, and that also maybe somewhat affecting the team. But then you look at how the players react and how they speak about it on social media, and Mo Salah definitely letting us know that listen, the season isn't over, and we will prove to the fans that we're still here and we're not going to
are still the champions.
And also my 100%, and my feel is that you've also got to start behaving like champions. There's one thing being the defending champions. But behave like the bloody champions as well. Don't lie down.
Don't just take it.
That's what I'm saying. And I just feel that this season, Liverpool have been bad champions, man.
I mean, look at it from this perspective. A lot of them had to play positions that they haven't played before. The shift has happened. And weirdly enough, Mo Salah is still the top goal scorer, as badly as his team is doing. So I think there's been just so many changes at Liverpool. But also, looking at the Merseyside derby now, does Klopp play the centre-backs that he bought? Or does Jordan Henderson still remain in a position that's not his?
The thing is with that is that I feel that Klopp has been faced with so many back-to-back fixtures that have been almost like must-win fixtures. Or you can't lose too badly in this fixture, or you got to make a fair representation of yourself. So it would have been, I don't know, difficult to go and throw someone in there who is your new signing into a system that he's not comfortable with. Into now an Everton fixture, or a round of 16 Champions League fixture. I just don't think. I think it was a reasonable choice to go and ask the people or the personnel that you are sure of. To go and fill the void. But man, come on, you can't be the champion and then going and treating Anfield like a fortress, and then all of a sudden you losing back to back
and then
to
Brighton
back.
came.
Come on, man, and then losing by 7 goals in the league, man. Be a good champion, man. This is exactly why. This is exactly why they weren't champions for 2 decades, and maybe that's the reason why they won't be champions for another 2 decades.
For another one.
Yeah. So.
All right, that is the closing of the Merseyside derby chat, and just before we close off the show, we head on to the bottom of the table clash. So this week we have a Fulham who take on Sheffield United, and I want to know, do you think it's too late for the Blades?
100%.
So not even this weekend you don't see a win against Fulham.
Even if
Scott Parker's men have just turned those draws into wins. They have all the personnel, they have the ability to score goals, but it just doesn't seem to work for them.
10, 14, 19, those are your bottom 3, and I personally think that it's too far gone. Look, Derby 2008, 2009 were probably one of the worst Premier League teams of all time, and they finished on 11 points. And then you look at Sheffield now, and they're on 11 points, and you're thinking to yourself, 3 of those points came from Manchester United. Shade. But I'm thinking to myself, like 11 points at this time of the season from a team that was doing so well last season. And we've been waiting for Sheffield and the Blades to kick into gear.
But that's the thing, though. It's not that they haven't. They still play in the same way. It's still exciting. You still want to watch them. It's just not. It's
not happening. I think it's too far gone. I think 11 points at this time of the season. I think I'm looking at and it's also not a matter of who's 19 and 18.
18,
It's
yeah.
who's 17, 16 and 15
look at the
as
likes
well.
of Newcastle
Yeah.
have been dragged in.
Newcastle, I think,
Yeah.
are 24, 25
Yeah.
points now. You fully don't expect a 14-point deficit to go away overnight.
Mhm.
Newcastle with Callum Wilson are still pulling in the results,
Yeah.
and you still fully expect them to be able to get that 1 point there, those 3
Yeah,
points
they'll be
there.
able to nick it here
So
and there.
the guys you're competing against are essentially the guys that are getting relegated.
Yeah.
So I just don't think Wilder and his boys, I think they've dug themselves into a disgusting rut here,
Mhm.
based on who they were last season.
Yeah.
And once again, it's a matter of, you had such a great winning formula with regards to,
Yes.
the overlapping
Of
of the centre backs,
yes.
even, I mean, why did you veer so much away from that if something had worked for you so well in the first season?
Yeah.
But I just don't think that.
I think a lot of changes happened at Sheffield, and I'm going to start off with just the goalkeeper. Taking away Dean Henderson was the biggest problem that they had. Unfortunately, yes, he was a loanee and he went back home, but that was the pivotal of where their defense started, and that's where it's been going.
It's a spine,
Very
I think we all underrate the spine. We look at, I hate discussing Liverpool so much on this show, but you look at Alisson at the start of the season, he wasn't there. You look at Virgil, that spine also wasn't there.
Gomez as well.
Gomez wasn't there, and it's so important, and just as you've mentioned, Dean Henderson being out, not even being out, going back to his parent club, it obviously affects the players. Affects the back four, affects the back five, essentially affects the whole team going forward. So, but also I've got to believe that Wilder should have known, how to overcome that.
Yeah.
But perhaps an experiment of that magnitude in the Premier League also probably wouldn't be advised to a second year manager. Yeah.
That's true. Quick last question. Do you think Wilder should have been sacked by now?
No.
And do you think it's too late to get that done and just let him go on with the season?
I think at 1, it's too late. 2, he shouldn't have been sacked. I think at the end of the day, you also earn your space in the team. Last year with Eddie Howe at Bournemouth, yes, Bournemouth were doing absolutely torrid.
But they've been.
but
Bournemouth were undoubtedly one of those teams where I saw it coming, because for three, 4 seasons, they kept being in that relegation zone.
But they kept on
keeping
100%. And
yes.
But at the end, I think Eddie Howe had earned that right after having Bournemouth for a good decade in the Premier League. I think from the performances that the Blades put in last year under Wilder, I think he's earned the right to go and stay there. And now it's too far gone. You can't expect to see a manager to come in now at 11 points
What is he supposed
after
to do?
25 games. You've literally got 12 or 13 or 14 more games.
Even Big Sam is struggling there at West Brom. I don't know what that decision was all about.
No one must ever talk to me about Big Sam.
But we are here now. Thank you so much, Vincent, for having this conversation with me about international football. I hope your team does well. I hope my team does well.
Man City should run away with it. Yeah, it's my team. Yeah.
Oh, we were Man City.
I'm on the transfer market. Anyone that wants me can get me, football related.
All right. Thank you so much, Vincent. I am Oarabile Diphoko for the Touchline. Please do follow us on all social media on YouTube. That is